Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Jennifer, and I want to say a big thank you to those who have recently subscribed. Thank you so much for tuning in and for supporting my channel. I really do appreciate you, and I appreciate all of your comments. And I look forward to hearing from you this time as we continue our journey through the astrological cycles, the harmonies that I bring to you that will support the most positive outcome with regard to your personal experience and what we are contributing to the collective. This video is going to be about the Aquarius new moon on January 21st. There are a lot of exciting things that are happening. It is, however, timeless in that any time you combine these harmonies with the affirmations, they are very powerful in the effects that they have, making congruent your inner and outer experience as you navigate the inevitable changes that we all face. With this particular Aquarius new moon, there are some very interesting energies, and the planetary rulers of the new moon in Aquarius, the North Node in Taurus, and the South Node in Scorpio that are combining in such a way to really support us on our journey to reach the collective destiny we share as a human family, represented by the Taurus North Node, the stability, the peace, and prosperity that North Node in Taurus represents. In this introduction, I will break down the basics, and then stay tuned, please, for the harmonies and the affirmations that represent the blending of these planets. To begin with, the Aquarius new moon has two rulers. Those rulers are Saturn, the ancient ruler, and Uranus, the modern ruler. Saturn is combining with Venus in this chart and lending its own support of structure, of inner authority, and mastering. Saturn ultimately teaches us where our own mastery lies and how to cultivate it. It does show up in limitations first. So with Venus conjunct Saturn, we are learning to overcome our previous fears and limitations that prevent us from attracting what it is we need in the way of relationships and resources to make a breakthrough expressed through Aquarius, the breakthroughs that are needed to reach that Taurus North Node. Now, the other ruler of the new moon is Uranus, modern ruler of Aquarius, and we find Uranus conjunct the North Node. Isn't it interesting that Venus is the ruler of the Taurus North Node, and Venus is conjunct the ancient ruler of this new moon? So we have both the ancient and the modern rulers of this Aquarius new moon combining with the North Node energy. So it is also lending its support to find breakthrough, to liberate ourselves from old fears and limitations. Very soon after this new moon occurs, Uranus will be stationing direct, so we will notice its energy much more obviously or externally than we have since the end of June. Now, Uranus conjunct the North Node is a positive force beckoning us forward. When it combines with a South Node in opposition, it is more of a disruptive force, and what it is disrupting are the old survival mode reactions and responses of the Scorpio South Node. The South Node in Scorpio also has ancient rulers Mars and Pluto. There is, however, another planet that I have addressed in previous videos that I will again address here, and that is Sedna. And I do view Sedna as the new or modern ruler of Scorpio. Scorpio, as I've mentioned before, is the only sign in the zodiac with three symbols: the scorpion, the phoenix, and the eagle. The scorpion is the ego and the ego's need to control. We have to learn to mature into the phoenix, which has the ability to survive no matter how many deaths it experiences. But ultimately, Pluto's gift is annihilating only what the ego has become overly attached to and what prevents it from graduating into the eagle. And I believe that Sedna is the planet that is showing us how to graduate from the endless death and rebirth cycle of Pluto and the Phoenix into the eagle. Sedna shows us how to tap into our immortal, eternal connection with the source of all life, which is infinite and which provides at all times possibilities we cannot see through the human eye, through the human experience, or certainly through the ego's experience. And as the eagle, we are able to see far beyond, well beyond what the ego can see in terms of external conditions, external circumstances that seem to want to limit us. But there is a component of Sedna that is requiring of us to relinquish control. We have to recognize that what is going on in our external world is well beyond our comprehension, and therefore it is beyond our control. What we do have control over pertains to our own personal lives and our own personal connection. And by tending to that garden, the garden within, we are contributing to the highest and best outcome in the greater world as well. The other very interesting thing about this is if you do share my view that Mars, Pluto, and Sedna are the rulers of Scorpio and respectively the rulers of this Scorpio South node, then we can look at how these three planets are connected. And we have Sedna and Pluto supporting each other through this trine. And now we have Sedna also conjunct Mars. So Sedna is now combining with the other rulers of Scorpio, Mars and Pluto. And Sedna has been working in harmony with the North Node in Taurus because the last time the nodes were in the signs of Scorpio and Taurus was the year that Sedna was discovered, 2003. And at the time of Sedna's discovery, Sedna itself was conjunct the North Node in Taurus. Then in January of 2022, when the nodes returned to the signs Scorpio and Taurus, Sedna was again conjunct the North Node. So Sedna has been infusing her energy with the Taurus North Node. Another aspect involving Sedna at the time of this new moon, and that will really be affecting us, that we will be feeling and experiencing over the next year or so, is a square from Saturn to Sedna. Saturn has to do with authority, with law enforcement, and Sedna has to do with following sacred law, universal laws, really being able to see the sacredness in all life forms. There's something around these two energies, Saturn with Sedna, that is going to bring changes in the law, changes in how people and we as one human family view all life on our planet. And I believe that our laws truly are going to be changing. And we'll have to see how this plays out, but part of Sedna's myth is hearing confessions from those who actually have transgressed against all life forms in some way. It will be interesting to see how we experience this, but with the square, we can expect to see massive change in our society. Aside from Sedna's conjunction to Mars, Mars is also forming a very interesting connection to Mercury. By the time of this new moon, both planets will have gone direct after having been retrograde and forming a close quincunx with each other. Quincunxes always require adjustment to blend the two, and Capricorn and Gemini have in common this expression of teaching, of sharing what we've learned. The low vibration of Capricorn is being bossy rather than leading with a more magnanimous approach. And Gemini, the low vibe of Gemini, can be a perspective that only sees in black and white. It's an either or situation. That's the low vibe of Capricorn and Gemini. So really a positive experience of teaching and sharing our wisdom is the way to blend these two energies, especially as it involves the vibrational impulse of our thought processes, represented by Mercury, and the vibrational impulse of taking action, of moving it forward, which is Mars. The other thing that I see in this chart, we are, of course, moving into a new cycle of revolutionary change. That's the new moon in Aquarius. And it is conjunct Pluto, which is still in late degree Capricorn. When Pluto enters Aquarius, it will only reach 0 degrees, but it will be revealing to us those issues that we still have not resolved regarding old fears, limitations, giving our power away, and all of the ways that we prevent ourselves from cultivating the inner richness, the hidden wealth that resides within all of us. I will be addressing in my affirmations how to infuse the positive vibration of Pluto with this new moon. The last aspect and harmonic blend that I will share with you today quincunx from South Node to Mars. Mars goes retrograde every 2 years, and when it does, it's retrograde for about 6 weeks. It just turned direct on the 12th of this month, right before I'm posting this video. The quincunx is often not addressed by astrologers or talked about very much. It's one of those minor aspects and subtle in how it is felt by us. It's not as obvious to us as, let's say, a square or an opposition. However, it is analogous to the relationship between first house, body, behavior, constitution, and the health of the body, the 6th house, the daily affairs, our daily devotions and rituals. In this case, it does involve Mars, which, as the ruler of Aries, does represent the first house and the I am principle. Mars wants to pollinate something, create a new path, and to take action. With it being in Gemini, it's going to want to take action through our words, through our thought processes. And literally, it's so interesting, but the word abracadabra means I create what I speak. And I think it's important to remember this lesson, especially when we look at this quincunx aspect, because what we want to create is not our past, the survival mode, the fight or flight responses that have been part of our past. So we are wanting to, I hope, graduate from that and come into greater peace and stability. And Mars, even through this quincunx, is helping us get there, helping us recognize where we still have work to do. But quincunxes do require conscious awareness on our part to blend these energies. And so the last affirmation and harmonic blend that I share is going to be Mars, Sedna, and Pluto. It's a microtone. Even though I call them harmonies, they very often are microtones and not what the Western ear has become accustomed to. But I love the microtones because they are helping to break up stagnant energy. So if you just allow these tones to enter your space and go where they need to go, enter your energy field, your body, and allow the frequency to do the heavy lifting for you, to start to shake loose what needs to be restored into balance and a new perspective. As we put this all together, the rulers of our past, represented by the South Node, are all combining with this new moon in Aquarius in such a way that supports our actually getting to the uncharted waters of the North Node in Taurus. So thank you again for your support, for your subscribes, and I look forward to talking to you next time at the full moon in Leo. Until then, this is Jennifer. Sun, new moon, and Uranus for the Aquarius new moon. I welcome a new cycle of innovation and change that breathes new life into my own world as well as those around me. Sun, new moon, and Mars for the trine. Inspiration to use my thoughts, words, and actions for good attracts a network of loyal allies. Sun, new moon, and Jupiter for the sextile from Jupiter to the new moon. An abundance of opportunities and resources always shows up in ways that increase my faith and optimism in the universe. Sun, new moon, and Pluto for the conjunction. As I embrace the profound transformations taking place in my world, I allow a rebirth far greater than I can imagine. Sun, new moon, and Chiron for the quintile. When I am able to feel gratitude for the smallest matters of life, synchronicity inspires a fresh perspective on the world at large. Sun, new moon, and Sedna for the trine. I always feel generously supported by the universe and attract a loyal group of allies, both seen and unseen. Venus and Saturn for the conjunction in Aquarius. I now attract experiences that help me overcome any previous fears and limitations and make step-by-step progress to revolutionize my life. Venus, Saturn, and Sedna for the square from Sedna to Venus and Saturn. The more I release resistance to events beyond my control and comprehension, the greater I am able to navigate change with ease. Mercury and Mars for the quincunx. I am ready to blend formerly disparate expressions of my thoughts and actions so that I can share my wisdom and pay it forward in positive ways. Mars, Pluto, and Sedna for the quincunx from Mars to the South Node in Scorpio. I consciously refine my language so that I am creating the highest outcome for myself and the world around me.